Hi, Silent Moon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, y'all. Hi. Thank you for joining. So today's Periscope, if you saw the title, oh, you betcha, Chica. It was great. If you saw the title for today's Periscope, I'm late today, so as you notice, it didn't say early walk. But I was getting some business and stuff done at home. And so I don't know if my normal suspects will be here with us today.
Time 5 minutes. Distance 0.2.
That's my run keeper, sorry y'all.
Average pace 23 minutes 58 seconds per mile.
I always say this is the love, for y'all, is because it throws me off my pace completely when I'm like recording and walking for these. But one of the things that I wanted to chat about is that I'm using a sports analogy. Anyone who follows sports knows that the sports analogy is that champions are made in the off season. And so, but I think taking that out of the sports realm, that's just as applicable to life and in business. Whether you own your business, whether you work in a corporate environment, or even whether you're a stay-at-home mom and you're leading like the PTA at your children's school. Champions are literally made in the off season. So I want to discuss that very specifically. For those of you that don't know, I'm a coach and I'm a strategist, and one of the things that bothered me was actually a Periscope that I was viewing that someone invited me to the other day. And in that Periscope, the lady was on a rant about how if it doesn't feel good, you should just stop doing something. If it doesn't feel good. Now, I was with her for a second, but she said feel a little bit too many times. And the reason why that bothered me, just to be clear, is that if you want to do something big that really impacts the lives of people, it will not always feel good. As a matter of fact, I am going to go on instance and say, if it's truly stretching you and you being able to serve people to the greatest of your ability, it will not feel good. And people on the Periscope were like giving her a ton of hearts and high fives and everything. And I asked her a simple question during the Periscope that sort of stopped her in her tracks. And I wasn't saying it to be rude or mean-spirited, but my question was simple. How does what you're saying line up with the life of discipline that is required to be great? And that's all I said. It's all I asked. I asked that question, and she stumbled and she stumbled and she stumbled, and I don't think she quite got her jive back. And again, I would never be rude to someone, but what I know as a coach is that if you're popping around doing only the things that feel good, that's a gorgeous house, y'all. I know y'all saw it, but if you're just popping around doing things that only feel good, your impact on the world and you being able to serve to your greatest gifting and abilities will be limited. Now, I'm a person that believes in no limits. So when I say no limits, that sounds good in a quote, that sounds good to say and get people riled up. But when you say no limits, there's an execution side of that is required, that is not sexy. It is, I can't believe how many are on here. Right, exactly. It is not sexy. Now, again, if you want to do something that makes a little impact in a little way with limited people, then yeah, okay, go do what makes you feel good. But if you want to do something that is on a LeBron James level, and you feel that calling and tug in your spirit that you were meant to be great like that, and I would say we should all feel that way. If you're a person like, well, I'm not really sure, it's okay to be unsure, but what's not okay is for you to settle for the quick fix, thinking that you're going to make a huge impact on this world. So I also wanted to give y'all a couple of examples of what I mean. Let me hurry up across the street so these cars won't hit. A couple examples of what I mean. Here in the United States, there was a NBA strike of players, right? And it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And one of the most fascinating things that people were talking about is that these NBA players were off for months. The top athletes that have made it through insurmountable circumstances to be able to be and get to play on an NBA team. What they found was so fascinating. During these months of off season, the people who were the 3rd, 5th, 6th players off the bench.
10 minutes.
Sorry, y'all.
Distance 0.41 miles. Average pace 24 minutes 8 seconds per mile.
Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna figure out how to turn off Run Keeper while I'm doing this. But anyway, during the off season, what they found is the people who were bench players coming off the bench, or the 5th player or 4th player on the team, they sat back. They might have gone to the treadmill every now and then or whatnot. But what they found is the people who were the top elite players, they turned up their intensity during this time. During the offseason, when they didn't even know what their contracts were going to be, when they were going to be, how they were going to be, they turned up the heat and started working out even that much more intense. And guess what? It showed results. Everyone talked about when they came off that strike, man, the NBA, they're so lazy. The games aren't as exciting. But there were a few people who were still operating at that high intensity level during that off season, and it made such a difference in them being able to win championships once they got back and the contracts were back. And I use that example for you. No matter what you do, and I use myself as an example, I'm a coach and a strategist. Well, guess what? Our high season, when we can get the most clients and make the most impact and believing in and spreading our message, is year end, headed into the new year. So that whole October, November, December, headed all the way through to about March, that is the high season. So don't think it's odd that I'm sitting here walking while I'm talking, because guess what? I'm working during my off season. You can't be a speaker and a coach and be out of breath up on a podium. So this is actually, so while I'm talking to y'all, this is actually training me and strengthening my diaphragm, strengthening, my ability to be able to like hit the ground running, so that when my high season comes, while other people who do what I do are going to be scrambling trying to get their New Year's plans together, I would have worked all summer. Here it's summer here in Texas, all summer, and working on my off season. So just keep that in mind, is that depending on what you do, know what's your on season and know what's your off season. And when it's your off season, you turn up that intensity so that when the on season comes, while all the people who do what you do are going to be scrambling at the last minute trying to get their stuff together, you're going to be just focused on execution. If you're building and you're executing, that's a lot tougher than being excellent at the execution part. So y'all, I hope this was helpful to you. I enjoyed this one. I feel so passionate about it. And again, if you're doing something and it doesn't feel sexy, it doesn't feel good, that is your first indication, in my opinion, that you're on to something really great. Practice during your off season so you can win in your own season. Love y'all. Many hearts. Thank you.